Here we're looking at the Dow on the hourly, and we could see, I think, a pretty aggressive move to the downside as it tries to test it again, but was and really not breaking much from that level. When you look at this, you see this pretty good corrective action, pretty strong move. And then you see this attempt at a recovery near this around the 17,700 level. This was a prior range that we talked about. You could also see the midpoint coming in here. So it really tried to hold that. And then we see prices starting to try to slip a little further, and try to retest again. We saw a new low today, but not a very big move. It really kind of quickly cleaned up, and now we're seeing it try to look like it at least is trying to clean up a little bit. I'm thinking that we may just see this try to recover a little bit as it tries to make another gasp to try to recover. But keep in mind, this is, I think, really showing some momentum. Keep in mind, it broke the higher range of the R band. That doesn't happen often, and when it does, it usually shows that it's going to trend for a while. And so the fact that really has been underneath this band for a while, and then we see that big break, I think even though we're seeing this try to rally back, it should be short-lived. But keep in mind that it's trying to make that last gasp back up. Think of somebody you don't like to. I'm not going to use that analogy. Let's put it that way. Anyway, it's trying to just make a gas back up here, into the 17,800 at the most. I think it'll have a very tough time really getting back here. But I think if it really over the short term, it may make it. If you see a very strong rally, maybe to 17,900, but I'm doubting that. I just think that you'll see a short attempt here. It'll last for a little while, and then you'll see the another thrust lower. Watch for that. We're going to go quickly to the Dow on the longer term. You could see our really where we said, hey, we would be short if things broke here. We tried to talk about this. This was our call for the 18,350. We hit 18,351. So 351.36. So we were accurate within 136, $1.36. And then we saw nothing but further action to the downside. And then we talked for a change in trend. We talked about this was our change of trend call. Well, that was quite accurate. We saw a very big move. We saw it pull back, but we did see a continuation of the action. And then we said, hey, we have to hold this. We'll probably hold this 18,200 level. And unless we really break through it into the, higher range past this 18,250, we would be short on the marketplace. And so far we've been pretty correct on that, down about 750 points from where we talked about the initial move. Now, keep in mind that you're seeing this near these major lows. This is kind of a make or break thing. And now you see almost a look of a doji star where it's trying to rally but can't, comes back lower. It's showing it's trying to go lower, and they're trying to rally it, but it doesn't have the energy. I think we'll see this try to rally, but these rallies will be sold into, in my opinion. I think we see this move continue to the lower range, very likely into the 17,000, and maybe much, much lower, as I said. We could be going to 15,000, maybe even to 13,000 in the Dow in the future. I do think we're way overextended. Keep in mind, it's amazing some of the stuff you hear or you get, as far as email. They'll be like, well, you said that. Well, that's a longer term call. So you have to, you'll see support levels, and there'll be, which one is it? It depends what we're talking about. Are we talking about a week? Are we talking about a month? We're talking about 6 months. It doesn't all happen in one shot. But let's put it this way. My study is into in correction actions, and I think we're seeing the potential beginnings of one that could be very dramatic. So just make sure that you realize that here's some very important highs from the past, 17,350. Now remember, here was that this is about 1,000 Dow points from there, so that would be an area where I would be watching for some significant support at this between the 1 17,150 to 17,350 level. And some may say, well, that's a pretty wide spread. That's not really when we've already called an 800-point move. But we do think that this will be trying to find some support around this 17,200 level, and should try to get some support right in here. So I do think even if it comes down, we'll see the attempt at the retempt back up into this level, where I believe it will fail, and then you'll see a really deep move that'll come in here toward, it looks like it's moving into this August scenario, September scenario. So who knows? This has been holding up for a while, but that's been a big concern of mine. As I said, we've been really seeing prices run for sideways since January.